Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Trail Pass. So you've seen this Subaru Outback Wilderness in some of our recent videos, and you already know kind of what it is. It is Subaru's kind of most off-roady version of their Outback or of their Forester, depending on which model you have. But it is my wife's car, and we're at just over 5,000 miles this week. So I wanted to go through kind of our updated thoughts on this vehicle and go through some of the modifications we've done so far. So modification wise, you can see right off the bat, we did add some rock block mud flaps. You can see there on the rear and on the front. And the reason we did that, these tires are really good. We've had very good luck with them so far. Haven't really taken them off-road per se, but here in the winter we've had kind of some mixed wintry conditions: ice, snow, sleet, rain, freezing temperatures and the like, and they have done very good, but they did throw up some nasty rock and dirt all over the side of the vehicle. And you can see even on a nasty day like today, those rock block mud flaps are keeping the vehicle nice and clean. So the other modification I'll show you on the inside of the vehicle. So we'll go through some of the pros and cons, the things we love and we hate about this vehicle. So we already looked at one of the things we love, and that is the ride, the tires. Just the overall look of this vehicle is really awesome, but it's not compromised. And that was one of the things I was worried about. A lot of times when you make one of these vehicles more off-roady, it does get less comfortable and does get less practical for daily driving. And this Outback Wilderness, the setup that we have here maybe does eat at some of the fuel economy, but the ride is really good, and the tires actually grip really good. Now, these are not the most aggressive all-terrain tire, obviously. They are the Yokohama Geolandar AT. They are mud and snow rated with the 3-peak rating, which is really nice, but they're not loud and they're not compromised for on-road driving in terms of noise or grip or anything like that. They've done really good either on the highway or on back roads. And overall, that paired with the Subaru Outback Wilderness suspension, which is lifted a little bit over factory and is maybe a little bit softer than factory, does really good. We're a lot of times on some not necessarily off-road, but even just bumpy back roads that are ate up and washboard sections. This vehicle handles really well, both at speed and at lower speed. So you can tackle those kind of roads even at 45 or 50 miles an hour and still have a lot of confidence here with this vehicle. The other thing that I wanted to point out is the Subaru EyeSight. You might be able to see the sensors there through the windshield. I think we have some more sensors up here in the front. That system is really good. The adaptive cruise, all of that, the lane keep assist and all, it does a really good job. The one thing I don't like about that system is actually where the lane centering does not work. The active steering, they call it in Subaru. So you'll be going down the road and you think you're doing pretty good, and all of a sudden the steering wheel just starts to tug at your hand. And what it's trying to do is keep you in exactly the center of the lane, but practically people don't drive like that. If you're going down the interstate and you have a giant semi right beside you, you don't really want to get any closer to that big guy than you have to. So not a huge fan of that system. A lot of times we run with it off, but the lane keep assist, where it actually keeps you from going out of the lane if you start to run that way, just slowly pulls you back in. That does work, but the lane centering and the active steering, that part really doesn't work all that well. Another thing that I really like about this vehicle that is unique about the Subaru Outback Wilderness is the LED fog lights, but just the headlight package itself. So it is all LED and it's very bright. These actually have the active steering headlights as well, where they kind of point around a turn, if you will, as you start to steer. And all of that system works really good. Honestly, it seems like an aftermarket headlight, and apparently a lot of the other people out on the road think it's an aftermarket headlight as well, because they're always flashing at you, because I guess they think you have your high beams on. But like I said, really good setup here, very bright for stock lights, and it really helps you out seeing at nighttime. Some other things that we like here, again, just the overall look of the vehicle. It's very practical because it is, ultimately a Subaru wagon, but it is still pretty cool. Cool mom car, as my wife likes to point out. But overall, we are very happy with the vehicle. But it's a little bit cold in here. Let's jump inside for our other thoughts. So the modification we did here for the inside actually lives right down here. So normally this is the door for your fuse panel, and it still does that. However, we ordered this piece on Amazon that actually makes it a little cubby. So not sure how well you can see that. We'll throw a chapstick tube in here actually, so maybe you can see it a little better. But just a little cubby there adds to the storage in this vehicle. Actually, from the factory, surprisingly enough, this Subaru Outback doesn't have a ton of storage. So it has a very small little cubby down here for your armrest. It does have a cubby there in the dashboard. It does have two decent sized cup holders here, and it does have your cubby in the door. But any extra storage is really nice, and we actually really like this little thing. And actually, you pull it out, and it does come with the stickers on it, so it still shows you which fuses they come on. If you are interested in this, you can find a link down in the description of this video. But I think this is a really good cheap mod for a lot of Subaru fans. So again, this is my wife's cool mom car, as she likes to call it, and this is the way we use it. It goes to school, it goes to daycare, it goes to my wife's job. This is practically the way we use this vehicle, and it is really good at that. These Subaru Outbacks have a ton of rear leg room. They have the right tie downs for your car seat, and overall it is very spacious, even with enough room in the front. So that is really nice. We're coming out of a 2017 RAV4, and that thing, if we had the car seat behind the passenger seat, we were all the way up in the dash. Here in this vehicle, it is much more comfortable. So looking here at the passenger seat, you can see we do have the car seat behind it. And overall, this is still a really comfortable setup. These seats are actually really good. Subaru calls it their StarTex, which is kind of like somewhere of a mixture between a synthetic leather and a vinyl. But you can see, even for the passenger side here, we still have tons of knee room up there. And actually, it's slid back really to the same position as where we are in the driver's seat. So really like the seats, really like the comfort of this overall vehicle. And we kind of touched on it in the past when comparing this to different vehicles, but you know, this Subaru Outback Wilderness, it does have good ground clearance. It may not be an off-roader in the traditional sense, but it is much more comfortable since it is built off of the Subaru Outback. It's a much more pedestrian type of vehicle in terms of its ride. It's not harsh like a truck, and overall that is a really good thing for my wife. Again, we're spending most of the time here going between daycare and work, and overall this is a really comfortable vehicle to do that. So we'll go ahead and start it up here. It does have the push button start, and this vehicle really likes to ding when you don't have the seatbelt on or anything else, but you can see the screen is starting up there, and this is one part of the vehicle that does take some time to get used to, and you just have to be patient with it. This screen is okay, but you can see it does have a lot of features in it. It does have the climate control in it. It does have your radio, different apps. You have to plug it in for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay for the 2022 model, which we have here, which is okay. You can certainly live with that. It does offer all of that technology, which is really nice, but the screen is a little bit laggy. It's not the end of the world, and I do appreciate these shortcuts to change the temperature. And I do appreciate the volume knob and the tune knob, but I do wish the screen was a little bit quicker, a little bit more snappy. And honestly, if it handled everything more like your phone without delay, it'd be a little bit better. But you can see you swipe here, and sometimes it moves, sometimes it doesn't. You hit the home button, hit the phone button. You can see it just takes a little bit of time to actually go through the different apps. So again, it is a pretty good system. It does work, but it is a little bit frustrating in that sense. But the main problem I have with this screen is this right here, which is your start stop feature. You have to turn that off every single time you start the car. So if it's lit up with that little green arrow or green hash above it, that means it is active. You turn it off, and it actually tells you in your gauge cluster that auto start stop is off. So it really wants to use that technology, but honestly, it is pretty annoying. I don't really like that. But that is definitely one of the negatives for us about this vehicle. Now, one of the other things here, really like the shift knob. It does a great job. I haven't used it a whole lot in manual mode, and to be honest with you, that's because it is a CVT. Subaru is very hard leaning on these CVTs. They're even putting in their sports cars like the WRX now, and honestly, the CVT itself is not all that bad, and it is returning pretty good fuel economy. You can see 25.1 there, average over the course of the last 166 miles. And over the entire course of the vehicle, almost 5,500 miles there, you can see 24.2 miles a gallon. So at least in terms of efficiency, don't really have any trouble with the CVT in this vehicle. However, it does have shift points, for lack of better words. So you get to certain RPMs, and the RPM or the tachometer drops off, and you can feel the vehicle almost shifting. But you and I both know if it's a true CVT, it doesn't really shift in the traditional sense. It's not like you're going between one gear and the next. It's continuously variable transmission. That's what CVT stands for. So I think it's kind of dumb that Subaru engineers those shift points in. And if you read about it, or listen to interviews or whatever with the engineers, they'll say that helps to make people feel more confident with the vehicle and makes it feel more like a traditional automatic. Well, you know what makes a traditional vehicle feel more like an automatic? Putting an automatic in here. So if that's what you really wanted, I think that would be a better choice. And that seems to be what a lot of people really dislike about this vehicle. Is it is that CVT. People don't trust CVTs, it seems like. And honestly, I think when you do dumb gimmicks like the shift points, that really doesn't help a whole lot. Now, one of the last things I want to talk about here is just this overall package. Again, the Subaru Outback Wilderness is kind of their off-roady package, but it is fairly high up in their lineup. It's not all the way up as expensive as a Touring, but it does have a lot of nice features. It does offer the big screen. It does have heated seats, and it does have, again, a lot of the features of the Touring, but it stops short in a couple of kind of interesting and goofy ways, I think. So the one thing I wanted to point out, it does have heated seats, which again is controlled, unfortunately, through the screen, but it does not have a heated steering wheel, which I think is really goofy. It also doesn't have the package where it recognizes the driver and adapts to its preferences, the driver profiles. It doesn't have any of that. And personally, that's something that I could live without. Some other options it is missing, though, is the premium radio system. So this just has the basic radio system, and it doesn't even offer you the option to move up into the more premium audio selection there. So I think that's really interesting. Again, you can get the premium audio, you can get a heated steering wheel, you can get different interior colors, for instance, on that Subaru Outback Touring model. And again, that's not even offered here. So I kind of just wish they would either offer this as two different tiers. Maybe have a base model Wilderness, and then maybe when you move up, maybe they would have a package that would add that heated steering wheel and everything else in. So I think, especially marketing it towards the outdoor and adventurous crowd, I think a heated steering wheel at the very least would be appreciated. But I can see a lot of people, if you're spending a lot of time in this vehicle, you might want to go for the premium audio, or different seats, or whatever else. I think definitely in the world we're living in now, people are willing to pay for the extra customization. This vehicle is getting close to mid $40,000 range, which is just under the average price, transaction price of a new vehicle in the United States. I think we're getting close to $47,000 now for the average price. And I think overall this vehicle does a really good job for the price point. Again, this one was just over $40,000. And overall it is very comfortable. It gets reasonably good fuel economy there. You can see 24.2 over the course of the entire life of the vehicle, 25 here for the most recent trip. But overall, we are very happy with it. I think it's a good vehicle. I think it's a good value for what you get. And again, a lot of people don't necessarily need a true off-roader, but this does give you the extra confidence with those 3-peak rated tires, with a little bit of extra lift. And overall, it does have some performance, it does have the look, and I think overall this would be a great vehicle for what the average person is looking for. So those are our thoughts over the course of the last almost 5,500 miles there. Let us know what you think down in the comment section. Do you love these items, hate these items, or what would you change about the Subaru Outback Wilderness? Thank you all very much for watching. Have a fantastic week, everybody. We'll catch you next time.